On the evening of September 18, 2025, the skies above Tehran, Gorgan, Sari, and Semnan were suddenly illuminated by streaks of light. These were not shooting stars or meteor showers, but the unmistakable arcs of missiles being launched into the night. The spectacle was visible for miles, casting an eerie glow over city skylines and sending a ripple of unease through the population. For many, the sight was both mesmerizing and alarming, a stark reminder of the region's volatility. Within minutes, videos and images of the launches flooded social media platforms. Residents captured the events on their phones, sharing footage that quickly went viral. News outlets scrambled to verify the authenticity of the clips, while online forums buzzed with speculation about the purpose and target of the missiles. The digital world became a mirror of the real-world anxiety, amplifying both curiosity and concern. Iranian officials moved swiftly to address the growing speculation. In a late-night press conference, government spokespeople confirmed that the launches were part of a pre-planned military exercise, insisting there was no cause for alarm. They emphasized that the operation had been scheduled in advance and was not a response to any immediate threat. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, released a series of images to the media, showcasing their involvement. However, they stopped short of making a formal claim of responsibility, leaving some ambiguity about the full scope and intent of the exercise. The timing of the launches was no coincidence. They occurred just hours before a pivotal United Nations Security Council vote on whether to impose new sanctions on Iran. Diplomats and analysts alike noted the clear message being sent to the international community. Tehran's message was unmistakable. Its missile program would not be curtailed by outside pressure. The display of military hardware was both a demonstration of technological capability and a statement of national resolve. For the Iranian public, the event was staged as a show of strength and unity. Crowds gathered to watch, some waving flags, others simply observing in silence. The government sought to rally national pride and project confidence in the face of external threats. Internally, the launches were also meant to lift spirits after a difficult year marked by conflict and hardship. The government hoped to restore a sense of resilience and determination among its citizens, reminding them of their country's enduring strength. Externally, the message was even more pointed. Iran signaled to the world that its missile program was non-negotiable, a core element of its defense strategy that would not be bargained away under international pressure. As the smoke trails lingered in the night sky, the world was left to interpret their meaning, a demonstration of power, a warning to adversaries, and a defiant statement of intent from Tehran. Iran's missile program is decades old, born from the Iran-Iraq War when Tehran lacked a modern air force. Missiles became Iran's main deterrent against regional rivals and global powers. While Iran insists its missiles are for conventional defense, Western nations fear they could one day carry nuclear warheads. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, answering directly to the supreme leader, controls the program and keeps it shrouded in secrecy. Iran's arsenal ranges from short-range missiles to those capable of reaching Israel and U.S. bases. By supplying missiles to proxies like Hezbollah and the Houthis, Iran extends its influence across the region. For Tehran, missiles are essential for defense and projecting power. For its adversaries, they are a source of instability. The program remains a central point of contention in Middle Eastern security. The September missile tests drew immediate condemnation from the U.S. and its allies. Secretary of State Marco Rubio called Iran's missile ambitions an unacceptable global risk. Washington labeled the launches reckless, using them to justify calls for renewed sanctions. European powers, frustrated by Iran's defiance, saw the timing as a direct challenge to their diplomatic efforts. Israel viewed the tests as proof of an existential threat, while Gulf states saw their fears about Iran's reach confirmed. Iran, for its part, dismissed the criticism as hypocritical and rejected any negotiations on its missile program. State media echoed this defiance, framing the tests as a matter of national right. Tehran insisted its missile program was non-negotiable and essential for defense. The international outcry only hardened Iran's stance. The standoff deepened, with both sides digging in. What is an ICBM? It's a missile with a range over 5,500 kilometers, designed to deliver nuclear warheads across continents. After the September launch, the key question was, did Iran test an ICBM? The answer, no. The launches were likely short or medium-range missiles or satellite launch vehicles. While space launch technology overlaps with ICBM development, Iran hasn't crossed that line yet. Still, each test brings Iran closer to mastering the technology needed for intercontinental missiles. Western intelligence watches Iran's space program closely, seeing it as a potential stepping stone. The September test wasn't an ICBM, but it was another step along a worrying path. The world remains on alert for the day Iran's ambitions become reality. The September tests followed a dramatic conflict just 3 months earlier, a conflict that would come to be known as the June 2025 war. In June 2025, Israel and the United States launched a series of coordinated airstrikes on Iranian nuclear and military sites. Their goal was clear: to cripple Iran's ability to develop nuclear weapons and to degrade its military infrastructure. The strikes were swift and precise, targeting facilities deep inside Iran, and sending a powerful message to Tehran and the world. Iran responded almost immediately. Within hours, it unleashed a barrage of up to 16 ballistic missiles and swarms of drones, launching them in carefully coordinated waves aimed at Israeli territory. The scale and speed of the retaliation caught many by surprise, demonstrating Iran's readiness and its growing missile capabilities. Israel's advanced air defense systems sprang into action, intercepting the majority of incoming threats. However, despite their best efforts, several missiles managed to slip through, striking targets in Ashdod, Tel Arad, and near the port city of Haifa. The attacks marked one of the most intense exchanges the region had seen in years. The missile strikes caused significant property damage and widespread power outages in several urban areas. Emergency services rushed to respond, working through the chaos to restore order. Miraculously, the number of casualties remained low, but the psychological impact on civilians was profound. For the first time, Iran demonstrated its ability to breach Israeli defenses with a massed missile barrage, raising new concerns about the effectiveness of missile shields in future conflicts. The conflict forced both sides to rethink their strategies. Israel was compelled to test and adapt its defensive systems under real combat conditions, while Iran proved it could mount a credible deterrent, even after suffering heavy losses. The war left deep scars on Iran's infrastructure, with key facilities damaged or destroyed. Yet the conflict also gave Iran's missile forces invaluable combat experience, allowing them to refine tactics and improve their arsenal for future confrontations. The September missile tests were Iran's way of signaling to the world that, despite the devastation, its arsenal was recovering and remained a formidable threat. The tests showcased new missile variants and improvements in range and accuracy. The message was unmistakable. Iran's missile program remains resilient, determined to adapt and endure, no matter the challenges it faces. After the June conflict, both Iran and Israel raced to control the narrative. Israel claimed it destroyed over half of Iran's missile launchers, projecting military dominance. These claims aimed to reassure Israelis and deter further Iranian attacks. Iran dismissed the reports as propaganda, insisting its missile force was intact. Tehran pointed to successful strikes on Israeli soil as proof of its strength. The September tests became a key part of Iran's counter-narrative, showing rapid recovery. Social media amplified images of new missiles, signaling readiness for future conflict. Both sides used the aftermath to bolster domestic morale and intimidate adversaries. The information war was as fierce as the military one. The world watched, uncertain which version to believe. Western fears center on Iran developing missiles that could reach Europe or the U.S. For years, policymakers and military experts have debated just how close Iran is to acquiring this capability and what it would mean for global security. The possibility of Iran fielding long-range missiles has shaped defense strategies and diplomatic negotiations across the West. An intercontinental ballistic missile, or ICBM, requires a range of at least 5,500 kilometers to be considered a true threat to Western Europe or North America. Iran's longest-range missiles currently reach about 2,000 kilometers, enough to strike regional adversaries, but far short of the distance needed to hit Western capitals. This puts all of Israel and U.S. bases in the Middle East within range, as well as parts of southeastern Europe, but not Western Europe or North America. For now, the threat remains regional, focused on Iran's immediate neighbors and U.S. interests in the Middle East. The September test didn't change this assessment. Despite dramatic footage and official statements, Iran's demonstrated missile range has not yet crossed the threshold that would put the West directly at risk. Still, some analysts warn that Iran's space program could quickly pivot to ICBM development if the political decision is made. The technology used for launching satellites into orbit is closely related to that needed for long-range missiles, making the distinction increasingly blurred. Each satellite launch is seen as progress toward dual-use technology, which could be repurposed for military use. Western intelligence agencies monitor these launches closely, concerned that advances in space technology could shorten the timeline for an operational ICBM. The debate is less about what Iran has now, and more about what it could achieve soon. Experts disagree on how quickly Iran could develop a true ICBM, but most agree that the technical barriers are shrinking. The September launches were a reminder of Iran's steady, incremental progress. Each test, no matter how limited, signals determination and technical improvement, keeping the world's attention fixed on Iran's missile ambitions. The West remains wary, watching for the moment Iran's reach extends further. Intelligence agencies and military planners are constantly reassessing the risk, knowing that a breakthrough could come with little warning. The threat is not immediate, but it is growing. As Iran's technology advances, so does the urgency of the debate over how to respond and how to prevent a future where Iran could target the West directly. The September missile test is a symptom of a region on edge. For Iran, missiles are survival tools. For its adversaries, they are a looming threat. The cycle of action and reaction keeps the Middle East on the brink of wider war. The test will likely harden U.S. and Israeli positions, fueling calls for more sanctions and possible military action. It will also accelerate the regional arms race as rivals rush to upgrade their own arsenals. The result, a more volatile, militarized region where miscalculation could spark disaster. Without new diplomatic solutions, the standoff will persist. The fading smoke trails over Tehran are both a show of power and a warning of what may come.